Welcome to the Northern Powerhouse interview series, where we're unashamedly spreading good news by interviewing Northern businesses and their successes during the pandemic. Subscribe to be notified of new interviews or click the link in the description to take part if you'd like to be interviewed yourself in a future episode.
Good morning. Welcome to Northern Powerhouse's Business Success Stories. So we have Chris with us this morning, who's the Sales and Solutions Director at MTech. So good morning, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us. Really good, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time this morning. So can we just kick off by, can I ask you to introduce yourself to us properly and give us a bit of an idea, a bit of an insight into what you guys do and how you help your clients?
Sure. So I'm Chris Cadge, as you said, and I'm Sales and Solutions Director, which means I go out and sell things, but I also really most of my job is building solutions for our customers of looking at business problems and working it out. So MTech have been around for nearly 13 years now as a outsourced IT consultancy company. So we really only work with customers where we fully support them. So where they don't have an internal IT staff, we'll go in and we run all of their IT. And that is everything from the break fix element of, I can't print this morning when I've come in, or I've forgotten my password, through to we're opening a whole new branch down in the south. How do we fit it out and make it work with Wi-Fi and link it back into our systems, through to help us save money on printer, do a printer tender for us, that, or mobile phones. So we really do act as that IT support team that really we like to think as if we're sat in the building with them, even though we're outside. So, and that's been very successful. The generic IT support thing is that break fix element of something's broken, we'll phone an IT, they'll come and fix it, and then they go away. And we're not like that. So we have a lot of contact with our customers. So we're in there all the time and seeing them and speaking with them about what changes that you can do, what we can recommend to their businesses and things like that.
Brilliant.
And then size-wise, we're a couple of million turnover, 20 staff. So we tend to think we fit into that small enough to care, big enough to do it successfully sort of range. So works very well, and we look after customers. We've still got our first customers from 12, 13 years ago who,
wow,
a couple of them are only 3 or 4 people, through to large organisations like we look after the whole of Headingley Stadium, Leeds Rhinos and Yorkshire Cricket. So there's 300 or 400 users in there that we look after. So we do the whole of that. So real range of businesses and sizes.
Good stuff. So we've had an unprecedented year, as everybody keeps saying, as we all know. How has it been for you guys? How's the last year been?
It's been certainly interesting. A good way of I mean, we've been very fortunate in the fact that we're not an industry that's been massively impacted. People still need IT, and in a weird way, they need more IT now than they ever did. So we support about 80 customers, 2,500 end users and such like. And pretty much when lockdown first happened, was the busiest time we've ever seen in our lives, because all of a sudden we had 2,500 people almost saying we need to work from home from Monday, please. And maybe they didn't have laptops, maybe they didn't have the right setup. We're fairly fortunate in the fact that most of our customers we'd set up sort of VPN remote access into already, so it was only a case of getting more licenses for them, which took a little while sometimes because our suppliers were really busy as well. And there were some changes and struggles. So we sell PCs and laptops to people. Just we hold some in stock and sell them on as a service more than anything else to our customers. And we probably used to do 20 or so a month, I suppose. In that first month of lockdown, we sold 180 laptops that we had to get on, configure, set up, personalized for the customer that it's going for the business, how they connect in, what they do, and ship them out by courier to them. So we were very busy. And then we found obviously that laptops you couldn't then get for a period of time. So I seemed to spend most of my life for a while just hunting, trying to find and buy at a sensible price. And so that was a real wave of, activity. I guess we were probably about 4 times as many calls and tickets open and working on than we'd ever had before from a normal time. And then that dropped off, and then it was just a change of working really with people working from home and supporting them. And then from there, over the year, really not that much has changed for us in the fact that we still support our customers, whether they're at home, in the office, or flexible working. We've had to look at some new technologies and things. So Microsoft Business Voice as a phone system has suddenly come into massive use as part of Microsoft Teams. So Teams use, we've spent, I guess, 2 years telling people that they should be using Teams and how fabulous it was. And about a week after lockdown, everybody was coming to us going, "This Teams thing's good. Why didn't you tell us about it?" And getting people on board with it. And then again, with some of our customers people from home needing to still carry on functioning and making calls and struggling with that. So we rolled out something called Microsoft Business Voice, which is basically turns your Teams into a phone system. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be at home on a PC, in the office, flexible on your laptop, on your iPad, on your mobile phone, and your calls still come through and you can make your calls. So all of a sudden it went from being a phone system that was in the office and you now couldn't use it to being pushed out and rolled out. So those are the sorts of things that have happened, and it's kept us sort of on our toes and busy. And from a call center perspective, which is fundamentally what we are as a help desk, from 8 till 6, we've got people just answering, I can't get on my computer, I can't do this problem. We went from ourselves from having a phone system in the office to over to this, and it's been so we had to learn it first, if you like, but that's made life very easy for us. So our team have all been working from home for the whole of lockdown, with no real impact on how they work and what they do.
Brilliant. So that sounds like, is that an adaptation that you guys will keep hold of moving forward?
Oh yeah, we've literally thrown our old phone system away.
Yeah.
Can't imagine it now, because again, one of the things we'll see, I think, going forwards is a lot of flexible working for people. So we're rolling that out. So we see that we'll be going back to the office, which we've not been in since this lockdown started, on the 12th of April, but we'll probably only have, we will only have half the staff in there. So what we're saying is that we sort of want people to do flexible working, and they'll effectively say, I'm going to be in the office Monday and Tuesday this week, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, and things like that. And again, there's a little bit in Teams that nobody knows about called shifts, which allows people to plan their shifts and things. So we're using that. It's free. And then we can see, tomorrow we've got 4 people in the office, and we're putting limits that there can only be 6 in the office and things like that. And that flexibility means that people can carry on being on the phone, whether they're in the office, at home. It just becomes irrelevant where you work from. And that's one of the big changes that we've seen is, the move to cloud-based, pretty much everything. So that's cloud-based phones, cloud-based emails, cloud-based systems. Over the year, people have gone, I can't really, if I've got no one in the office, is there a solution I can put in that means that they can work from anywhere?
Yeah. Brilliant. It certainly sounds like the more people I speak to, the more business owners just really do seem to be embracing, as we move forwards, that, the change that we've all made in working from home. And it certainly seems like an adaptation that a lot of us are planning on keeping hold of. I think we've really demonstrated it doesn't matter where you are. We can work from our dining tables or our home offices. So yeah, it certainly seems like that's something that a lot of the businesses that we're speaking to are going to continue to do moving forwards.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one for when a member of staff comes to you and say, I'd really like to work flexibly and work from home 2 days a week, and you turn around and say, oh no, you can't do that, it'll never work.
It'll never work. Yeah,
it's the sort of stories that you used to hear people saying, and you've just been doing it for a year. So I mean, what that really means in subtext, if you like, is I don't trust you to do
it. Yeah.
So I think that will be something that we'll see more and more of, and I can only really be a good thing. I think I was having a chat to one of the owners of one of our businesses this morning, actually, and he was saying that we wouldn't want to all work from home all the time, and you can't shut down offices completely and do that, because we are social animals. It'll be difficult. I think we've had that. We had a member of staff join during lockdown and leave about 3 months later because they never felt part of the team. And it wasn't because we weren't trying to make them involved, but it was just they were sat at home and never got into the MTech way, the spirit, the working, chatting to people, you know, a bit of banter in the office, all of that to make you feel part of something. And so they just didn't ever have that loyalty. So we're recruiting someone else at the moment, and they're not starting until the beginning of May, because we'll have a couple of weeks in the office, make sure everything's settled, and then they can come on board and we'll get them properly, you know, feel part of the team sort of thing.
So how have you as a leader, so you know, in terms of taking care of your team and ensuring that they still, you know, they could feel that MTech culture and, you know, and your values and everything else, how have you had to adapt to take care of the team?
We've tried to continue the same sort of things that we do with our staff, even during lockdown. So we've always been you know, we have Friday lunchtime pizza. So we've always had last Friday of the month is pizza day, where we buy pizza and everybody gathers in the office, and, you know, still have to answer the phones occasionally, but generally speaking, everybody gathers together and has that. And we have a Friday night drink on a different Friday of the month. And we've carried on doing those things. So last Friday of the month, everybody can still put you know, an expense claim for a tenner for buying their pizza at lunchtime and having a chat. You know, we still have regular drinks. You know, everybody gets on Zoom, funnily enough, rather than Teams on that one. So socially, and, you know, have a chat to everybody and see how we're doing and things like that. But it has been difficult. I mean, I think it's much harder to keep that spirit of a team working for each other going while you're not seeing each other. So again, something like Teams, and it's an interesting one, because speaking to some of our customers, they still don't really get Teams other than for a video conferencing. And we're saying, no, you want to be using it for chat and calls, and, you know, to keep that involvement, because again, it's a bit like your difference between sending an email and sending a WhatsApp. You know, WhatsApp is much more chatty, instant, you know, sociable. You put icons in it to, you know, show that you're joking about something. I've always hated email as a communication tool, because people get the misunderstandings happen through email. And I call it the vicious email circle, because you get offended by something and send back a really harsh email to someone who didn't realize they were offending you, and then they get offended, and it spirals out of control. That doesn't happen if you're picking up the phone, having a video chat, having a instant message, you know, single lines, having a laugh with people and things like that. And I think keeping that sort of thing going has really helped us as a business, in the fact that the staff still react with each other. So we're using the tools, electronic tools, for the head popping up over the cubicle, almost to say, you know, does anybody know about this? So we've got a team that says, you know, does anybody know about that? And people just put something like, does anyone know anything about this, in it? And everybody will respond back to it and things like that. So we've still tried to keep that sort of spirit of a team working together and asking questions and chatting to people, and we have absolutely not tried to try and formalize anything on that side of things. But some of the nice bits we tried to do to make it a nice working environment, we've tried to continue through lockdown as well.
Brilliant. So what would you say is the biggest challenge that you guys have had to overcome, Chris?
From a sheer business and financial point of view, the big piece has been the lack of project work for us for the past year. So if you think about a business which does, so we have support contracts, and if you think about that's the bread and butter of our business, that keeps the lights on, keeps everybody paid and all the rest of it. And then our project work of, you know, we're opening a new office, we're fitting out the warehouse, we need to replace our server, we're implementing a new software system. All of those are projects, and those are the jam. This year's been no jam.
Yeah.
So we've been a very lucky business in the fact that the bread and butter's kept everything going. We've not had to furlough anyone. You know, it's business as usual. But the challenge for the business has been making sure that, you know, without the jam, that we're able to keep going. And I guess one of the other bits I would say is it's been very hard not being able to go and see our customers in the same way. Now, the start, you know, from fixing a problem, if there's a problem, we still go on site. You know, we're essential workers in that way. But going out and seeing the finance director, the MD, sitting down talking about their business, chatting about how, you know, things are going, what thing, and then going, oh, I think we know something that could help with that, or that side of piece has been missing from life, because, you know, it doesn't matter whether you try and have regular catch-ups by teams and things like that, it's not the same. Yeah. And I think that bit of social interaction with our client, for me, has probably been the hardest thing. In the fact that you only now talk to people really when there's a reason to talk to them, rather than a drop in for a coffee and a business out of which, you know, nothing may come, or you might find out that there's you know, they're doing something and there's a better way of doing it, you know, about due to IT and things like that. So that's probably my personal challenge, whereas the business has been more of a financial one.
Yeah. So what about the wins? I mean, obviously we've touched on the fact that businesses have had to become even more reliant on tech than we maybe were before. So what are the biggest wins that you guys have seen and have been able to take from the last year?
I generally think the biggest win has been the ability to use technology better to allow flexible working, both within MTech. You know, now we're in a position where really it doesn't matter where our staff are, they can work. And that means that, you know, we can be a better employer to our staff in the fact that they can choose to work in the office, choose to work at home, they can be out and about. If, you know, somebody came up with a good reason, said that they wanted to be away for 2 weeks, but would still want to do help desk calls while they're doing it, we could turn around and go, yeah, that's okay. You know, we can do things. And that's from us as a win has been a big win. And then the other piece is, you know, this has led to a lot more consultative work with our customers. So again, it's a business win as well as a supporting our customers win, is that, you know, we've had to show a lot of our customers how to use the technology, how to be flexible, how to work with some of these things. You know, one of our big customers down south, they had 6 months without any telephony effectively. They're a big warehouse, and then all their staff, they shut down their admin offices, if you like, and 50 people were working from home. And it was only when I was talking to their MD and so on and said, you know, how are you coping with the phone side of things, which we don't look after, that they went, oh, I don't think anybody's answered any phone calls. And, you know, I don't know what happens to our inbound calls, you know, but most people phone their mobiles now, but it's not the right way of working. And therefore we've just implemented 80 seats of business voice, and it went in smoothly 2 weeks ago, and everybody's now just using Teams for their telephony. So it's things like that where you go, we can enable people, again, is what we like doing. So it's, you know, in reality, we fix that problem where you can't print on a Monday morning or you've forgotten your password, but that's not what keeps everybody working in an IT business. The bit that's interesting is learning new things and showing people new things and improving the customer's world. So there's been a lot of that. Probably the most frustrating thing has been finding laptops. But the most involving bit has been then, once they've got a laptop, showing them how they can work better outside with it. So
brilliant. So with everything that, there's been a lot of learning for your clients throughout this period, there's been a lot of learning for you guys. With everything that you have learned over the last year, knowing what you know now, if you could go back, what may you have done earlier or done differently?
Good question. Not a lot, strangely enough, which sounds a bit cocky, but, you know, I think probably, you know, when we locked down, we tried to switch to mobile phones. Luckily, we could route calls via a cloud service. So we went, oh, everybody just use their mobile phones from home. And that was a truly horrible 2 weeks of life, where everybody's getting calls on their mobile phones and they were going to voicemail, or they didn't have signal, then they got a call and it wasn't for them and they need to transfer it, and you can't transfer a call off a mobile phone. So you'd be saying, I'll have to take a message and get someone to call you back. And I guess we had that for about 2 weeks. And that was, if I'd have known better, I'd have, you know, if I'd have had the time again and I'd had a bit of notice, I'd have implemented a better system like the Microsoft Business Voice 2 weeks earlier, so we didn't go through that. And I guess I'd have stockpiled some laptops as well. So, but the actual business itself, I guess like any other business, we learned as we went. So we learned what worked and what didn't work. We've restructured some of our shifts. You know, we had people, because we cover 8 till 6, we have people starting at all sorts of times, and that's become really quite difficult to manage remotely. So we've gone to an early and a late and things like that. And that's only come in fairly recently. And that probably we should have done that 9 months ago. You know, it's that sort of thing that you don't really realise. Funnily enough, one of the things we started, one of our senior guys started a staff forum. So via Teams, they have a monthly forum which I don't attend, the business owners don't attend, and it gives the staff a chance to say what's good, what's not good. And it turned out that it sort of highlighted our documentation for our customers that is held in lots of different places. And we've then spent a bit of time, and we've got a new strategy and implemented a new system now where all the documentation and information about each customer is held, you know, in a single place as any one place. And weirdly, that's the biggest thing that the staff were complaining about was, you know, now they're not all in the office and you get the head popping up going, does anyone know how you get onto such and such? You know, and they're having to look for it themselves. They found that it could have been there, it could have been there, it could have been there, it could have been there. And it was a bit messy. So we spent a month or so designing a new system and putting it in place, and that again, that would have been nice to have done that a year ago, but a lot of this has been learning as you go. But nothing major would be what I'd say is that we've got a great bunch of people working at MTech, and they've all come up with ideas and changed and been flexible about how they work as well.
Brilliant. What do you guys sort of envisage as the main challenges for you moving as we emerge from lockdown and head towards this new normal? What do you think might be the challenges that you might face moving forwards?
It's the flexible working, I think. Yeah. So it's where people are going to be from a day to day. You know, how do you manage and track that? You know, is somebody at home today, or are they out? Are they working in the office? Are they somewhere else? You know, how do you manage a team really through that process? And you know, in some ways we had everybody was in the office. Now we've had everybody at home, and then we're going to be going into people could be in the office, they could be at home, they could be this, they could be that. How do we make sure that there's a mix and match? We don't necessarily want the same. Again, we came up after the last lockdown, when we went back for about a week in the office, we came back with a plan that we would have sort of shift A and shift B that would be alternate weeks in the office. And then we realised that, hang on, that means that we're going to form a clique here and a clique there.
Yeah, people aren't going to see each other.
Spend a lot of time with each other and either love each other or hate each other, you know, but they're separate. So that's where we then changed it into this flexible model where we're now always, I'm going to sound American, but we're empowering the staff to choose when they want to be in. So instead of saying, it's this week, you'll be in the office all week, and they've got a boiler repair or a washing machine, you know, whatever it may happen to be, that goes, oh, I don't want to be in the office that week, and I should, you know, they can now choose and say, I'll be in that day and I won't be in that day. And what we haven't found is any productivity loss. So, I mean, I think that's always a concern for a business owner or manager, that if people are working at home, are they just going to be sat in front of the telly watching Homes Under the Hammer and Loose Women all day? And then, you know, is that what you're going to see? And we're not. We have really good systems because everything's ticketed and the metrics haven't dropped. If anything, they've improved. I mean, there is the one thing that you have to be careful with. I really believe I can't remember who said it, but it was a really good phrase, is that we're not working from home anymore, we're sleeping at the office. So it's very easy to get up and start working and then realise it's 7 o'clock at night, and then it's the weekend. But weekends at the moment isn't much different to a day, is it? So I'll just do a bit of work, and before you know it, you're working seven days a week, and you're not having those breaks and things like that. So it's important to make sure that, you know, people have got those sort of controls over them. You don't not expected to work all of that time. You're not expected to do this and that. And again, IT can help with that. So, you know, we can see if people are working you know, the hours and tell them, you know,
more than they should be.
It's not, you're doing more than you should be, you know, go for a walk or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not, it's not spying, but you get good reporting back on usage of systems now and so on. And I think that trust of people at home, and if somebody wants to go for a walk in an afternoon for a couple of hours, if they can do it that way and say, I want to catch up with my work in the evening, then that's absolutely fine. Not so easy when you've got people on a help desk and answering the phone calls, but for other purposes, as long as people do their work, it doesn't matter, does it, how they do it?
I completely agree. I think the days that, unless for, for things that, of course, that, if we're manning a help desk between 8 and 5, we need to be there. But I think for a lot of roles now, kind of gone are the days where you have to be chained to your office desk 9 to 5. It's no longer the way of the world, is it?
And I think that's the other thing that you say, what's been difficult and so on, is video conferencing continuously, 9 till 5 in a day.
Because you can do so much of it, can't you? Yeah.
There's so much of it, and people are much less likely to pick up the phone to you nowadays than book a call, which is a little bit strange, I think. Every now and then I have a mobile phone call with someone and go, oh, it's quite nice just to be, on the phone to you, and maybe sat outside in the current sunny weather, chatting on the phone rather than sat in front of a screen staring at it. There was an interesting article the other day that they think the stress and the effort is nearly twice as much stress and energy burnt on a video conference call than a face-to-face meeting. You're focusing, you don't get the same feedback. There's things like, it's probably happening now, the camera isn't at the same level, so you don't get to see people's eyes in the same way, and we're very focused on people's faces. And they've been doing some studies on it, and they find you get double the stress level in a video call, and also you come out effectively twice as tired from it. So now when people book them every half an hour all day, then you're just in it all day. At the end of it, you're wrung out because you're tired. And it's so different when you go out and see someone and have coffee, and it is so different. So I think we need to get back to that. We are social beasts. I think social distancing is fine, but as we come out of it and we're allowed to go back to it, I think we need to get back to that sort of way of working that, I think the video calls are brilliant. If I can have a catch up with someone down in London instead of having to,
drive 4 hours.
instead of having around an 8-hour round trip in the car every month, maybe we have every, 2 months, we have a video call, or we have them every 2 weeks now. And then every quarter we'll have a catch up and go for a coffee and have a really good chat face to face. So those sort of things I think will come out really, really well. What I think will be important is that we don't fixate back onto this, and that we need to get back out into the real world of seeing people and meeting with people and such like. And I think we look after a few serviced offices, and they're changing around a lot of their models now for meeting rooms bookable by the hour, so that if people have got teams and you haven't got that office space for one reason or another, you can still get together. So and I think they're seeing a lot of growth in that market where we've lost the office for whatever reason, we've decided we're not going to go back to the office, or we still need to get together once a week or once a month or whatever it is, because we still need to see each other.
There's a real balance to be struck moving forward, isn't there? Absolutely. So my final question then, what does the future look like for MTech? What exciting plans that you can tell us about have you guys got coming up?
We're a business that's always been growing and always in growth. I think we're quite a cautious company as well, so we don't outgrow ourselves. We're very service oriented, so it's really nothing very exciting for us. We're not dynamic, exciting. We're not opening a new office in London. We're not doing anything like that. What we do specialize in is not taking on too much at once, so that we can look after our customers. We have a very unusually high retention rate with our customers. As I say, most of our customers have, a lot of our customers have been with us for 10 years and things like that, which is very unusual. And it's and part of that is not changing too much. So we absolutely have growth plans. I think we've changed a bit with what we do. We've changed mainly a lot over the lockdown. We've had a chance to think. So we've always shied away from the telecoms and the the phones and that side of things. But now that's all really just computers. We've gone with Microsoft Business Voice. We can now sell phone systems to our customers and support them. And that we tend to think, because we're like that we're better at doing that stuff than anyone else. Therefore they just come to us, our customers, with a single point of contact. If we don't have to go to someone else and say, there's a problem, can you fix it? That's the thing we probably hate most in the world. So actually, I suppose expanding our scope of what we do, our project line, into things so that we can be, I'm not kidding, we'll make more money out of it, but we'll also offer a better service.
Yeah.
That if your telephone system's with us and you want it changing, you pick up the phone to one of our techies who you'll know and say, Georgie, can you sort this out for me? And they'll just go bam, 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 and it's done. Rather than before, maybe it might have taken a couple of days for the telecoms company to get around to doing it, and they might have billed you for it, and they might not have done. Whereas we're a fully inclusive sort of charge per month, so it just gets done. So yeah, nothing exciting to say, I'm afraid, but just
exciting. Taking care of your team and taking care of your clients is always exciting.
Cool.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Chris, thank you so much for your time this morning and for sharing your experiences and your learning over the course of the last year with us. We really, really appreciate it.
No, it's been good. Nice chatting.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Chris. You take care, and we'll speak to you
soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching. What was your takeaway from today's interview? Please post it in the comments below and subscribe for all our upcoming videos, or click for the next video here.